Okay, 1 Corinthians 13. And today our memory verse is one I know everybody knows, so Daniel, I don't have to quote it to you today. You can quote it after.
Romans 5:8, but God demonstrated his own love for us, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
And everybody ought to know that one. That's one everybody ought to know. That's a good verse. Especially when you're talking to people about becoming Christians. You need that verse, Romans 5:8. Okay, so we're in 1 Corinthians 13. I included, because you open your Bibles to 1 Corinthians 13, but I included a verse from Romans 12:31. So let me read that one before we get started, and that one is, "But earnestly desire the higher gifts, and I will show you still a more excellent way." So what is the more excellent way? Now understand, in 1 Corinthians 12 and 1 Corinthians 14, he is talking about miraculous spiritual gifts. All right? But at the end of the chapter, he says, I'm going to show you a more excellent way. That leads us into 13. You want to think about what is the more excellent way. That's the point of the whole lesson today. So, would somebody read 13, 1 through 3?
If I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have love, I have become a noisy gong on a clanging cymbal. If I have a gift of prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give all my possessions to feed the poor, and if I surrender my body to be burned, but do not have love, it profits me nothing.
So what is the more excellent way? Love. All right? Love is the more excellent way. Now he starts off saying, if I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, is he suggesting that people could speak the language of angels? Or is he saying even if they could speak the language of angels?
Could you repeat the question again?
All right. What he's saying there, if I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, is he suggesting that people can speak the language of angels or a heavenly language? Or is he saying if they could speak the language of angels or heavenly angels?
I think he's saying if I speak.
All right. The reason I'm asking this question is important. People that speak in tongues claim they speak in a heavenly language. What benefit would that be to us? None at all.
Unless there's an interpreter.
Unless there's an interpreter. Right, it would have no benefit. When the apostles spoke in tongues on the day of Pentecost, did they speak a heavenly language or did they speak the tongues of men?
Tongues of men.
They spoke the tongues of men. Everyone heard in their own language. And that's what's important. Why the stress is because people that claim they speak in a heavenly language have a misunderstanding of tongues. Anyway, they have a misunderstanding of the purpose of tongues. The purpose of tongues is for whose edification? The one that's speaking or the one that's hearing? The one that's hearing. Not the one that's speaking. So, you claim you speak in tongues. That doesn't make you a super Christian. Number one, are you speaking a language here on earth that you've never studied? or what are you doing? Are you speaking a language?
If someone is speaking, typically speaking, nobody there's understanding them.
Right.
So what is the need of them even speaking that?
Exactly, because over in Timothy, I think, where Paul's giving instructions about speaking in tongues, he makes it plain. You don't, if you're speaking to church and you're speaking in a different language, number one, you don't do it unless there's an interpreter, because everybody has to understand it. All right, so it's for the benefit of those that are hearing, not for the benefit of the one that's speaking. That's just an important thing about tongues to understand. So that's just even why I brought it up. But tongues, of course, you know, that's a big controversy, whether you do or you don't, or, you know, some people think, well, you're not a good Christian if you don't speak in tongues. You know, I've heard guys on TV say, I'll teach you how to speak in tongues. You can't do that. It's a spiritual gift. No one can be taught how to speak in tongues.
And plus the fact that when Christ died and the Old Testament was put aside and the New Testament was brought forward, and then they had to do certain things to identify themselves, to say, you know, nowadays they give a business card. I am who I say I am, or I am who I am representing. But back then they didn't have the Bible.
Okay?
You know, the written word.
Right.
You know, they had to depend on the word of the mouth.
Right. So you're getting right at what the next question is about. And that is, how important were tongues and miracles and all kinds of miraculous spiritual gifts to the early church?
It was an identification of who they were.
Yeah, it was proof. This is what I'm saying is proof. Boom. All right? So they were tremendously important, and we should not downplay the importance of those things to the early church. But as important as they were, what would still be greater? Love. You know, somebody may not speak the same language you speak, but if you show love to them, don't they understand?
They do, yeah.
And that's what's important, is that we love everybody so that they can see.
Love is first and music is second, because you can hear a tune and they can be singing in Italian, but you recognize the tune in English and you'll hum along in English what they're singing in Italian.
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right. So that is important. All right, so let's define love. All right, would somebody read verses 4 through the first part of verse 8?
Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It is not rude, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. Love never fails.
Good, right there. All right, so let's define love. Love is patient. What does the word patient mean?
It's when you're sitting there and you're tapping your foot so you'll keep your mouth shut. Something going on.
Okay.
Long suffering.
Whatever you got to do to endure wrongs, and when we do speak, we make sure kind words come out, not hateful things. Patient means you're slow to anger. All right, that's not easy.
That's a learned thing, I think.
It comes, it does.
And some people will test it more than others.
Right, right, okay. So love is patient, love is kind. How do you define kind?
Being nice.
Okay, good-natured, gentle, tender, just being nice. Okay,
Helping somebody.
all right, yeah, helping people, holding a door for somebody, all kinds of things like that just kind. And of course, a smile. And all these things are things the world needs right now. Okay? So start out positive things, patient and kind. Then it turns a little bit negative in the definition. It does not envy. What do we mean by envy?
Jealous because someone has something and you don't have.
Okay? All right? So, this jealousy that exists in a lot of folks, and that's a bad problem in today's world that we have to watch out for. It does not boast. What do we mean by boast? Bragging. Just puffing yourself up as you...
Look what I did.
Yeah. Is not arrogant.
I'll put that in with boast.
Okay? They're very similar, but they must mean something different.
Yeah, arrogant is because I want to do it my way. So we're going to do it my way.
Okay?
It's the best way.
Because my way's right and everybody else's way's wrong.
This is the best way.
We've all known a few of those.
In fact, we were talking about something just the other day. We used that word arrogant. It was just like that.
All right? It is not rude. What do we mean by rude?
Being inconsiderate.
All right? Being inconsiderate, conducting yourself improperly. All right? So, get my staples on my next word here. Oh, it does not insist on its own way. What do we mean by that?
Back to the arrogance part.
It means that a compromise could be good for the two of you or more than two of you.
All right.
If you would, let me invent my thing, you invent yours, and we'll see which one's best, or we'll combine them.
All right. So the basic idea behind this, when we're talking about arrogant, we're going to do it my way. That's focus on me. This says it doesn't insist on your own way. It means you're not selfish. It means that you are open to other suggestions and other thoughts. It doesn't want to injure somebody else's happiness. All right? It is not irritable.
It doesn't test someone else's patience.
Okay. All right.
But I tell you, that word there is not irritable. It is something that's awful hard to do. When a person is sick and they're hurting and they don't want to see nobody, they don't want to talk about it, they don't do anything, it's simply because they just don't feel good and they're very irritable.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this word is only found one other place in the New Testament. So there's only two places in the New Testament this particular word is used. The other place is in Acts 17:16, when Paul was in Athens, right before he preached his sermon at Mars Hill. And it talks about his spirit was stirred within him when he saw the whole city given to idolatry. He was irritated. All right. The word actually means the act of sharpening a knife. Okay? That's the actual meaning of the word. The act of sharpening a knife. And so, apply to human beings, it's talking about the very thing you don't want to make somebody else irritable. By your irritation, you don't want to make somebody else irritable. Because Paul had a right to be irritated in Athens. But he didn't take his irritation and make them all the rest of them irritated. He took his irritation and preached the gospel and brought people to Christ. So that's the idea behind that. It's not resentful.
I know what the word resentful means, but I'm not sure how it applies here.
All right. Here, the idea, according to Barnes' notes on the New Testament, it's not malicious, censorious, or disposed to finding fault.
So resentful is like when you might agree to something reluctantly, and then the longer you go in that agreement, you kind of grow resentment for that other person because they
Yeah.
didn't really want to agree to that, but
So you start finding fault
yeah,
with what's going on.
and you get very irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that always goes with anything you do that you're not happy with after it's done.
You tend to resent that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So there's something wrong with it. You're looking at the faults.
You said, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So you resent it.
Yeah. All right. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing.
Told you so.
All right? Yeah. We don't need to do that. It doesn't rejoice over people's vices. People do wrong. And a lot of times people just laugh at it and go on. Well, laughing is the wrong thing. We laugh, I guess, because we are uncomfortable. See, TV has done that to us for years. They take things that are wrong and put it in sitcoms and try to make it funny, and then we laugh at it. And laughing at it, we accept it. We don't laugh at things that are wrong. Okay? A lot of jokes that people find funny aren't really all that funny. Okay? So we have to think about those things. All right. Now it comes back to the positive side. After we had a little negative, that's a good counseling mechanism here anyway. A little positive, throw in the negative, then go back to some more positive things. All right. Rejoices in the truth. What's he talking about? Rejoicing in the truth.
We always rejoice at baptism, we rejoice when some of the people come forward and repent their sins and tries to live better.
Okay. We rejoice at those things. Those things certainly are celebration things. But the word here stands right opposite of that word wrongdoing, and then we got truth. We're talking about a lot of people laugh at things that are wrong. What we need to do is encourage all those things that are true. The things that are honest, the things that are pure, the things that are pleasing to God. The good things that people do, not the vices. Okay, it bears all things.
I think of this as visited a lady this week. Her husband had had dementia for 4 years, and she had seen him go downhill to the point of being a strong man or partner in life to waiting on him like a lady. To me, that's very...
Exactly, that's the best way to put it.
The better way to understand that word would be sort of that, you know, you just accept all things. Well, you bear it by accepting.
The word picture that goes along with this word is like a rock standing at the ocean, and the waves are beating against it constantly, but the rock's still there. Okay? That's whatever comes in life, whatever comes, like those waves, keep pounding and pounding.
Well, you may as well accept it. You can't do anything about it.
Right. So we just stand there. We bear it. We take it. All right? Believes all things. Believes that, but more so it's...
To me, that's divided because, you know, one person can tell you a half-truth, the other person can tell you a truth. So, you know, believe in all things.
All right. Here's the thing. You're not distrustful. You're not suspicious of what somebody tells you until they've been proven wrong. Okay? That's the thing. When somebody tells you something, unless you know that's wrong, you don't know.
That's me. Basically, she can tell me about someone, about Carol.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Right.
Because the Bible tells us that we should check out what people tell us.
Yeah. But the thing is, you know, you're not... When it says believes all things, you want to believe the best about that person. You want to believe the best that they're doing the best they can do.
Sometimes other people might call you gullible.
True. That's why I say you believe that until they've been proven to be wrong.
Oh, yeah, I believe I can do everything he said he's going to do. This is wonderful. We've got somebody now that's going to bring this nation together.
Yeah, and dividing it more than ever before.
That's just an example.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, it's just being trusting of people until they prove you can't trust them. All right? Hopes all things. All right? Always wanting the best and hoping that's going to happen. Yeah. You know, you have a child that, kind of a wayward child. You keep hoping the best for that child. Hoping they'll come back to their senses. Hoping they'll return to the Lord. Whatever. Those kind of things. Endures all things.
Same as bears.
Okay. A little bit the same.
Enduring it.
Enduring it here particularly is talking in line with, according to the word studies and whatnot, it's talking about especially when you're faced with persecution and suffering. Okay? It's just like right now, with what's going on in Afghanistan, we really need to be praying for the church in Afghanistan. Because, I mean, they face enough persecution and suffering as it is. when the Taliban take Afghanistan over completely, it's going to get worse. And there are already a lot of Afghans in India. Central India Christian Mission's been training the Afghans to go back to Afghanistan and start churches, which they've been doing. Are they going to stay there? Are they going to be able to stay there?
Are they going to be alive?
Right. You know, there's a lot of questions. So we really need to be in prayer for the church in Afghanistan and pray that they can endure. Okay. So, the rest of verse 8 says, "But if there are gifts of prophecy, they will be done away. If there are tongues, they will cease. If there is knowledge, it will be done away." Now remember, it started with love never fails. What's the difference between love and spiritual gifts?
Spiritual gifts ended.
Spiritual gifts are temporary. Love is not. Love is forever. And so that's why love is the greatest. Because there will always be love. There won't always be the miraculous spiritual gifts. In fact, let's pick up at verse 9. Somebody read verses 9 through 13.
For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put away the childhood behind me. For now we see only reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even I am fully known. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
All right. So, what's the purpose of the contrast in those things that are in part and those things that are whole?
It gives us an illustration of what they're talking about when it's in part. Like when you're a child, you act one way. When you're grown up, you act another way. When you're a sinner, you act one way. When you're a believer, you act another way.
Okay.
So that something is still missing because it's in part. So we have some of it, but when it comes in whole, whatever we used to fill in those in parts that were missing are not needed.
Okay, because when we were a child, we don't know everything. We might think we do, but we got a lot to learn, right, when we're a child. When we get to be adults, we know a whole lot more. We still don't know it all, but we realize we don't, and we depend on people who know more than we do about certain issues. All right? So we become much more mature about that. So here's the thing. The prophecy, the tongues, the knowledge was all in part. The spiritual gifts were all in part. They weren't the whole thing. But there's something that is going to be whole that's coming behind it. All right? So that's important. All right? So based on that thought, what is being described by the phrase, that which is perfect comes?
I have over completeness Bible from the written word that comes.
All right? The word perfect means complete. All right? Remember, the early church did not have the written word. The Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, were probably written mid mid-50s to early 60s, somewhere in there. Paul may have actually written a few of his epistles before that. And so there's these things that are circulating out there that are still in part. But from what we know and what we can put together, the apostles were the ones that had the ability to pass on spiritual gifts. No one else could do that. Because remember, Simon the magician wanted that power. And he couldn't get that. Only the apostles had that power.
But when the apostles died, that was it.
No. No. I'd say I'm an apostle. The Apostle John was the last one to live. He lived to be about 100 years old. Okay? But he placed his hands on a disciple and passed the spiritual gifts on to Polycarp. Now, you don't read about Polycarp in the Bible. You read about that in church history. Polycarp lived to around 150 A.D. He had spiritual gifts. What we do know is spiritual gifts seem to stop somewhere around 150, which would be the year Polycarp died. We also know that the first canon of the New Testament was put together in 125. Okay? That was the first one. It didn't quite include everything. So the complete canon was pulled together by 150. The time that spiritual gifts stopped. When the New Testament was all together in one book, was there a need for spiritual gifts? Because you've got the complete revealed Word of God now. They already had the Old Testament, so now they've got the New Testament. They've got the complete, full revelation of God. The word perfect in the Greek language is neuter. The Greek language is much more specific. It has masculine, feminine, and neuter. The word is neuter. That means a thing, not a person. Okay? That would be the Bible. So when the Bible is all pulled together, spiritual gifts stop. And there was no need for spiritual gifts because now you could just open the Bible and say, this is God's Word. Now, in 150, that was easy because everybody still spoke Greek. And the New Testament was written in Greek. All right? Of course, as time went by, they had to start translating it into other languages. All right? Which they've done and which we're still doing. All right? So, but everybody that has the written Word has the complete revealed Word of God. And so we don't need spiritual gifts. So how long were spiritual gifts needed?
Until the Bible was finished.
Till the Bible came together. How long is love needed? Forever. That's why it's greater than spiritual gifts. Okay, and so let's see, the point of Paul's illustrations, Ann gave us that point already. So let's go ahead because our time's up to the next question. Some things are transient and pass away, while some wholesome things abide. What is a contrast?
Well, if you compare it to love to its object, which is hate. Hate will pass away. Love will continue.
Okay? Because, well, we've got the contrast, particularly here too. I mean, you're right. But the contrast is between, especially verses 8 and verse 13. Think about these things. The tongues, the knowledge, and the prophecy. Prophecy, tongues, knowledge. You've got those three. Versus faith, hope, and love. All right? What's the point of the contrast between these things? So how many people truly benefit from prophecy, tongues, and knowledge?
Well, at that point, a lot of people benefited from it because,
The people that heard it.
yes,
The people that heard it benefited from it.
yes,
What about faith, hope, and love? How many people benefit from that?
yeah.
Everybody benefits from that. All right? So, the spiritual gifts benefited those people that heard it. Faith, hope, and love benefits everybody. Yeah, when Paul writes his epistles, a lot of times he commends different ones for their faith, for their love, for their hope. You know, he commends those things over and over and over. How many times do you hear him commending somebody for doing spiritual gifts? You don't. All right? So these things are greater. Faith, hope, and love. Now, those things that were in part, they're going to perish. They're going to be doing away with. We've got these three. Faith, hope, and love. Which one's greater? Why? Why is love greater?
And mine's well.
Well, what about faith and hope?
Well, when Jesus comes back, we won't need faith or hope because we see Him and we'll be with Him.
All right? So, yeah, when he comes back, faith is going to be reality. Hope is going to be realized. But love still continues. Forever. And so love is the greatest of all things and is the thing that we need to focus on the most. Now, one real hard thought question. Now go back to that thing that was perfect, and I gave you a quick explanation. There are people, and when Chuck McGee was at Fort Avenue, we debated this issue often. Chuck's thought was the perfect was when Christ comes. And my thought, of course, is when the Bible came. All right? How, from the context, do we understand that that which is perfect is not likely to refer to Christ or to heaven?
I would say it's that that which is perfect is God, the Bible is here.
Okay? Right. Because the context talks about spiritual gifts, the miraculous spiritual gifts ceasing. All right? Prophecy, tongues, knowledge, those things are going to cease. But there remains faith, hope, and love. If Christ has come, we've already established we do away with faith and hope. And we're only left with love. All right? So that's important. It also means that if the perfect refers to Christ, then we should still be doing miraculous spiritual gifts. Okay? Because the perfect hasn't come if it's Christ. If it's the Bible, they've stopped. All right? So, when you put those thoughts together out of the context, it's obvious to me that he's talking about this book right here, the perfect, when it comes. Because it is the perfect will of God. And we can't deny that. All right, anybody got a question or comment? Okay. On our list of prayers, real quick. Michael Culpepper, Jeanette's friend's husband, has had diabetic problems. He's had one foot half removed. He's been back in the hospital, and they took all his toes now but the big toe on the other foot. So be in prayer for him. Gail Garrett, that's,
She's doing good. She
she-
can go back to work tomorrow.
she can.
Yeah.
All right, that's a praise.
Yes.
All right, Dana Simmons is Carla's cousin that's had the COVID. Any update on Dana?
She was doing about 1 month time. Good, she don't feel worse, but she's doing well.
All right. George Klein, Pam Klein, this is Larry's cousin and his wife, both have COVID. Keith Boyer, you heard any more on him?
He's out of the hospital doing good.
He's out of the hospital and doing better, that's great. Philip Lee had his surgery and everything seemed to go well. David Bennett, that's Ray Bennett's brother, had a lot of issues with the sciatic nerve and is in therapy. Brad Galden is a member of the County Line Christian Church. He's in the hospital at UNC Chapel Hill, and man, have they gone through it. All the machines that he's had to be on are broken down, and created a number of issues. And so this weekend was really critical of whether he's going to survive or not. They were able to get him on different machines that were working, but all of them that he was on broke. And so just keep in prayer for them. And all the others here, I don't really have updates, but I wanted to give you those updates on the prayer list.
My brother continues to get better.
He's getting better every day.
Yes.
Great.
I talked to Vicky's sister,
Uh-huh.
and she told me that they have a procedure that they want to try to do to save her, but this, you have to go to UVA or the hospital in Richmond, and not sure that they can get her in there with all this COVID stuff going on.
Right.
So I'm going to talk to her again tomorrow.
Okay. So keep Vicki Hudson in your prayers. 'Cause things don't look very good for her.
My sister went back to the doctor, actually 2 different doctors, the same office, sorry. And they did some testing. They seemed to think for some reason that her heart may cause this stroke, which is something new to me. And so they're going back in about a week to talk to the doctor, the results of all the tests.
Mm-hmm.
But she is not improving at all. We saw her when he brought her over at the doctor's office, and she just did not improve.
All right. That's Judy Lester. All right. Nathaniel, lead us in prayer, please.
Okay, let's pray. Dear God, you are mighty, you are kind, you love us so much that you sent your Son for us. And God, please be with us as we have studied from your word about love, that we may be able to apply it and share love to others, and that it may bring people to you, Lord. And in all things, may your will be done, and may the glory and honor be given to you. For it's in your Son, Jesus Christ, his name I pray in. Amen.